Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Seth, psychologist with Couch Commentary. When I do Couch Commentary, I just talk about something that's going on in the culture from a psychological perspective. Today, what I'm going to talk about comes to some extent from entertainment news, and that has to do with this. So, actress Kristen Bell is married to Dax Shepard, who has the very popular podcast, Armchair Expert. I'm a big fan of it. I love that podcast, have listened to it for years. Well, in a recent Instagram post, Kristen Bell was sort of acknowledging the 12th anniversary that she has with her husband, Dax Shepard. And there was a lot of fallout publicly in the news about people's negative reactions to her post that it downplayed domestic violence. So, in essence, in the Instagram post, what she did was she basically said happy 12th wedding anniversary to her husband, and then she went on to say how her husband, Dax Shepard, had once said to her, I would never kill you. A lot of men have killed their wives at some point, and although I am heavily incentivized to do so, I would never kill you. All right. Now, the reaction was really strong about this. Domestic violence groups were in an uproar over this Instagram post and really saw it as a very dangerous message to send to others. Of course, domestic violence groups spend their energy, their time, all of their funding to try to prevent this massive problem, this massive, lethal, terrifying problem in the culture. And so the idea of a Hollywood celebrity making light of it is really concerning to a lot of people. What I think is important about this topic psychologically is that this statement from Kristen Bell really just shows a lot of times what impacts each one of us, which is that sort of mental filter that each one of us hopefully has. Now, everybody knows there are certain things that you may say to your best friend or your partner, maybe your husband or your wife. There is a definite line, of course, between some things that you may share with someone you're really close to personally and things that you might share, well, I guess with the globe, with the world, or with millions of Instagram followers. So this is just one of those reminders, that it is really important for us a lot of times when we say certain things to think about that filter. Is this something maybe that I should say to someone that I know really well personally? Or is this something that, for example, I wouldn't say if I were at work? Those are all kind of things to think about. But all of that said, one note that I would just make when it comes to someone like Kristen Bell and even her husband, Dax Shepard, these people are entertainers. And I think a lot of Kristen Bell's roles are really comedic. In fact, I think that her humor and using humor is probably something that she really values, is important to her. And also, I would imagine that her sense of humor herself has been a part of her professional success. So sometimes I think that it's important to remember who it's coming from. A lot of times comics will say, for example, that they have license to say certain things that others don't. I don't know if that's really correct, but what I do think that we can all take away from it is when we judge the comments of someone else, really look carefully at kind of what the intention was. And I think that Kristen Bell's intentions were not nefarious. And also to say, well, maybe there is some room here to learn from this. And I imagine that Kristen Bell is someone who has real deep empathy for anybody who experiences domestic violence. And who knows, she, like any one of us, can learn from this kind of behavior. We can always all get better, learn to have a better, smarter filter with the things that we say. I'm Dr. Seth, psychologist. See you next time.